free world.
Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up. Snuff the shooter.
Hail to the culture. A Washington. Wait, I don't know what we are right now, Rome. We're a Washington football team podcast, right?
We're something, man. We talk about the team in D.C. I don't know what the name is yet, but I got a couple ideas.
Yeah, man. So we are still here, no matter if the name is the Redskins or whatever the other ideas that are being discussed at the moment. This podcast is not going anywhere. It's Hail to the Culture. Once again, it's your boy Bryce. I'm here with my man Rome. Now let's jump right into it, man. The biggest debate, the biggest news surrounding the team. It could be a lot of other things, but it is the name change right now, and that is what is dominating the news space. So let's get into it, Rome. How do you feel about the two main choices right now? It seems to be down to Red Wolves or Warriors. Which way are you leaning, sir?
Man, yeah, between the two main choices, which are the Red Wolves and the Warriors, we could get into a couple of other ones. But between those two main ones, man, I'm definitely leaning towards the Red Wolves. The Warriors, to me, man, it's already that's Golden State. When I think the Warriors, I think of the team out there in Golden State, man. That's basketball. It's a whole other sport. I don't dislike the Warriors, and I could live with it, but I definitely would cast my vote towards the Red Wolves. How are you feeling about those two names?
And when it comes to those two names, it's not even a debate for me. I do not like the Warriors at all. I mean, I see some people that are like, yeah, if it's Warriors, I'll be okay. If it's Warriors, I'll come around, but I would definitely hate it initially because, I mean, the biggest NBA team right now, over the last few years has been the Warriors. I don't want to just piggyback off that name. In addition, I feel like Warriors is still, if you're talking about getting rid of Native American imagery and all together, but you're still calling yourself the Warriors, I feel like that's still hinting at some sort of trying to honor Native Americans, and at this point, I think it's time to move past that. Now, Red Wolves, on the other hand, I feel like it's just perfect, man. I can see it now. Us scoring a touchdown, Dwayne Haskins dropping one in the basket to Terry McLaurin, whole stadium just howling. How about that new stadium y'all want built in D.C.? What if it was called the Den? The Wolves Den. Like, people would love that. I would love it. And it would give us a newfound culture that we can start to build on from this day forward. And another thing, man, you got some young ones, man. Think about how that could appeal to these younger generations, a name like Red Wolves. Like that could really start something. And I feel like this is an opportunity for the team to turn the page with a great name.
Oh, most definitely, man. I'm glad you brought that up because I've actually run some names by my 6-year-old, and Red Wolves is his favorite by far. I think that could really resonate with the younger generation. I love the idea of calling the stadium the Den. Even if it's not the official stadium, that'll definitely be, or the official name of the stadium, that'll definitely be what the fans will refer to it as. I have a little inside information, man. There's like a 90% chance that it will be Red Wolves. I think they really wanted to see what the fans thought about it, man. And I think Dan Snyder has put a couple spies, couple agents out here to get the fan point of view. We actually ran a poll on our Twitter page where Red Wolves was the most popular name, and I believe it was also the most popular name in a Washington Post poll. And I've seen various Twitter polls where fans have been voting for Red Wolves. So if Dan Snyder and the team indeed wants to involve the fans, and if they are actually listening to the fans, then they'll probably go with Red Wolves. The word is that they will announce the name sometime Monday of this week, so we'll know probably very soon. Probably by the time that you hear this pod, the name will be announced. But if I had to make a prediction, man, if I had to put my money on it, from what I'm hearing, it's going to be Red Wolves. But that's not 100% sure. Like I said, that's about 90% sure. But my next question to you, Bryce, is what is the name? Because obviously everybody's loving Red Wolves, right? We've established that. But what is the name that if they named the team this, you would absolutely hate it and you wouldn't be able to come around? Earlier you said if it was Warriors, you'd be able to come around to that. What's a name that if they give the team this name, you're just absolutely gonna not be able to adjust to it?
Wow. Now that's a good question. And I don't know, and me being as loyal as I am, I don't know if there's any name that could get me to just be totally off board. But if I got to be honest, one name that I'm not totally on with, that I love the cultural significance, but it just wasn't for me, was the Red Tails. And I see a lot of people that love the Red Tails. But to me, I just couldn't get with it, man. And don't get me wrong, I love the reasoning behind it, but I don't like the name for my Washington football team. And, yeah, so that might be the one that, I mean, I'd still get behind it, but I can just see it now, like all the creative jabs that'll be thrown our way because our team name has tails in it. I don't even want to think about what the rest of the NFC East will come up with for that. But I can't get with Red Tails. So if there's anyone, that's probably it.
Wow, that's interesting, man, because Red Tails was originally my first choice. I actually love that name because of the history behind it. But I could definitely see the jokes for sure. I feel like teams will come up with jokes for any name. Other than Red Wolves, really, that's almost foolproof. So hopefully they do end up going with that one, man. But if I'm kind of along the same lines as you, man. I'm so deep into this team that I don't know if whatever they pick the name as, I don't think I could hate it enough to not follow the team. It would have to be something completely ridiculous that I know they're not going to go with. But yeah, man, I think I just love the team too much to ever be upset about the name or the name change. I know there's a lot of fans out there that are upset that they're changing the name from the Redskins. I mean, I feel the pain. You know, obviously we both grew up huge fans of the teams while we're covering them, and we got big memories. You know what I'm saying? Like most fans do. But it is time to move on from this name. The facts are the facts. The name is racist. I don't know if you want to elaborate on how you feel about the name before we get into some of the more positive memories about the team. But the facts are the facts, man, and the name is very racist. I remember the first time I actually did my own research and looked it up. It kind of hurt me because I do love the team, and when you have to sit and just accept the fact that the name is just based off something that's horrible, you kind of have to be willing to let go of it. So I just hope that all the fans that are upset about it, you don't throw away your love for the team. Will be my message to the fans that are super upset about this.
Yeah, nah, I mean, I feel that. At the end of the day, like I was kind of hinting at, man, I feel like me and you both are the type of fans that it doesn't really matter what they really go with at the end of the day. I mean, when they name this team, man, as long as it's something positive, I'm 100% on board. Now, another conversation I think is interesting, though, Rome, is the moniker that this podcast was named off of, HTTR. Do you think that if they change the name, they have to keep the R? I think that's a really big question, man.
For me, yes. For me, yes. That's why I didn't really like Warriors too much. For me, I need that R. I need some type of – even if they don't keep the R, I at least need the color schemes. I need something that – it doesn't have to represent Native Americans because I understand how that could still lead to some controversy. And me personally, I've loved this team so much. I'm so over the controversy of will they change the name. I'm almost relieved that this is happening because hopefully they choose a positive name and we're just done with any name changes for the rest of our lifetimes. Because this has been like a stain on the franchise almost. But I don't know, man. It's tough because I love the team and I've always loved the team. But I'm glad that they're finally changing the name.
Yeah, and I agree, man. I agree. I'm glad that they're finally doing it. I think it's something that I'm not going to say long overdue, but something that is the right thing to do. Now, next question, since we both agree that the HTTR should be kept, I think this is obvious to some, but not to all. The burgundy and gold. This changing the team name could be a chance to really rebrand the entire image. Do you think the burgundy and gold should be kept?
Now, see, for me, it's one or the other. If we keep the burgundy and gold, then maybe we could change from our R name. But if we keep an R name, I might be open to changing from the burgundy and gold. As long as there's some type of tradition kept from the previous team, as long as it doesn't relate to Native Americans, then that's really what I'm looking for. So I would still be open to a new color scheme if we could keep the HTTR or something that reminded me of my childhood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I feel that, and I'm with you. And honestly, I got to be honest, I want both. I want HTTR and I want burgundy and gold. And I think that the perfect name to do that with is Red Wolves. I feel like no other name is ferocious enough, represents the spirit of a fighter enough than that name does. It just encompasses everything. And at this point, man, I gotta be honest, I'll be disappointed if it's not Red Wolves, bro.
Yeah. To be honest, I will be a little disappointed if it's not Red Wolves. Like we've been saying, though, I'll probably warm up to whatever it is, but I'm all in on Red Wolves.
Yeah,
I don't know where this started either. I think Fred Smoot or someone on Twitter put it out there, but it seems very organic, and that's why when I say that I'm hearing they really might go with that, it seems very organic. And Dan Snyder isn't one to want to be hated. He doesn't have always the best press about him or on him. So this is his chance, man. This is his opportunity to pick something and get new fans. I read something earlier today from I think it was USA Today that was saying the Redskins have an opportunity to bring in new fans, and they might be able to just let go of the old fans, the fans that were already fleeting anyway. So this is a huge opportunity for Dan Snyder as an owner, and I think he's going to jump on it. I think the best way to do it is, like we've been saying, is you can keep some of the older fans by keeping the color scheme, keeping the HTTR theme, and then you have an opportunity to bring in a whole legion of younger fans and brand new fans that might have been rejecting the name or rejecting the team just based off the name. So I think Dan Snyder has an opportunity to knock this out the park, and like I said, it's a 90% chance that it's going to be Red Wolves.
Yeah, and I think you're right, man. I think you're right. I'll be willing to give that about it. If it's 90% chance, that pleases me, man. And I think you make a good point about Snyder. I don't think Snyder is one that wants to be hated. I think Snyder's just the one that hasn't made the right decisions to be liked. And I think this could be the first one in ushering a new era for Dan Snyder in which he does things that the fans agree with. And, hey, man, why not start now, and why not start with Red Wolves?
Yeah, man, perfect opportunity. But before we get out of here, man, let's because this is, like we said, this will probably be the final Hail to the Culture as the Washington Redskins, if we can even say that one last time. So, man, we used to have a segment when we first started, greatest Redskins of all time, referring to the players, your favorite players of all time. So let's get into this, man. What's one of your favorite memories? Because I know you got a lot. What memories stick out to you the most as we close the chapter on this old team name?
Wow. Well, a few come right to mind, and I'll just go in order of I'll go chronologically, but I'll go backwards though. So I'll start with now. First thing now, man, I'd say, turning this leaf with Ron Rivera, starting a new era. Then the next thing that comes to my mind after that, it was the whole Kirk Cousins debacle, how he didn't get locked up, how we ended up letting him walk. That whole thing, man. We remember that. We documented it. And then after that, I'd have to say 2012, man. RG3. That ride was one I will never forget. And then once I leave that, man, I gotta go to those days where we had Brunell chucking it up to Santana. And I'd say my final memory that will always stick out in my head was Sean Taylor, man, number 21. And I hope he's, somehow still honored as we move from Redskins to Red Wolves. I hope they find the right way to honor him, which in my opinion is retiring the number 21.
Yeah, most definitely. Regardless of the team name, number 21 needs to be retired. I think that is another thing that the fans would love, and another opportunity for Dan Snyder to start winning over the fans. So yeah, let me get into it too, man. These memories, man. So one of my biggest memories that stands out to me, the first thing that I can think of off the top of my head, because I haven't even put too much thought in this because there's so many, is Clinton Portis' very first touch as a Redskin. I remember the time, the place, right. I remember the time,
that was
the
beauty.
place, man. The excitement, the feeling. Oh, I'll never forget it, man. I remember the playoff game. You brought up Sean Taylor. Let's talk about Sean Taylor moments. I remember the Buccaneers game when he got ejected for spitting in the player's face. Sean Taylor was a dog, man. Like he was the guy. Like he was the player where you knew it was borderline. He might cross the line and you were okay with it because he brought the edge, and that made the entire defense, the entire team, the entire organization and fan base better as a whole. That's how great of a player he was, man. We'll definitely always honor his memory and probably have many more segments on Sean Taylor. Another memory that sticks out to me, man, the Monday Night Miracle. You brought up Mark Brunell, Santana Moss, man. That play, I'll never forget because I actually went to bed and got up for school the next day, and my godfather was like, "Oh, you should." Oh no, I went to bed and he woke me up, and I saw the replay, like all groggy and all that, man. Like that was another great memory. Man, like so many great memories with the Redskins. I remember learning about John Riggins and the Super Bowl wins. One big memory that sticks out to me as an African American is Doug Williams being the first African American quarterback to win a Super Bowl. That was all love. Man, yeah, I'm definitely just proud of this franchise, this team, and like you brought up, the direction that we're heading now with Ron Rivera. I love the hire of Ron Rivera. I love how he's changing the culture from top to bottom, man. I mean, who would have thought that when we hired him in January, that in July we'd be getting a name change, man. He really is coming in here and changing everything, and I feel like it's for the better, not just on the field but off.
Yeah, man, and I think as we move to this new era, you know, and we essentially retire the Redskins name because at the end of the day, man, we were Redskins fans, and we never associated that name with anything negative. We only associated that name with positivity. For us, that was that name, what it represented, not only the name but the image of the helmet as well, the logo. That represented strength to us. That represented power to us. That represented something to cheer for to us. So as we move forward with this, I mean, I would just ask everybody that sees people that are struggling to give up the Redskins name, struggling to accept the change, to understand that they don't like that name for anything negative. They don't associate with that name for anything negative. That name represents strength to them, and that name represents something that they would fight for and something that they have fought for and something that they have spent their hard-earned money on. So I got to throw that perspective out there.
Yeah, most definitely, man. It's definitely deep. You're definitely not a racist or anything like that because you grew up loving this team. Even if you haven't learned the history, there's no getting around the word and the imagery and all that. But just because we were there's a lot of things. We're not going to get too deep into it, but there's a lot of things in this country that were wrong, that we all kind of just grew up with it. You know what I mean? Like it was already just ingrained in there. So like I said, you just got to be mature enough to understand to let it go. The memories that we all have, they don't go away. We still love this team, this organization, and we're going to keep loving this team, this organization, because we are held to the culture, and that's just what we do.
That is what we do, man. Held to the culture. Hey, and like we said at the start, we may no longer be a Washington Redskins podcast, but we are always going to be a Washington football team podcast. So as soon as the name changes, all we have to do is change one simple part.
Yeah, facts. And we will be back with another pod, man. As soon as his name changes official, it's probably going to be Red Wolves. But as soon as that is official and they got the trademark and all that down pat, we will definitely be back because we're probably going to have some football, man. It's getting real. It's getting closer, man. We're probably going to have something. They're canceling the preseason, it looks like. They got it down to 2 games. They're probably going to get rid of those too. But in a month or two, man, we might have some game action to talk about.
Yes, and I know me, I can't wait, no matter what the team name is, I can't wait to see these guys go on the field and perform. So, hey, man, another great episode. As always, hail to the culture.
Hail to the culture.
My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster.